Why hello there, children. Welcome to EvanBooks. Today, I'm going to be reviewing Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom. What a lovely novel this was. I would highly recommend it. It was very fun to read and very quick, so if you're into a nice young adult fiction book, I'd pick that up. However, further in this review will most likely feature lots of spoilers, so if you don't want anything spoiled, which for the love of God, don't be that person, click away, read the book, and then come back and we can talk about it. You gone now? Good. Okay, so Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. Wow, what a good book. It left itself open for a sequel, which I didn't expect until I went to, update my Goodreads and I noticed it said #1. That's the second time that's happened. Thanks a lot, Goodreads. And then when I didn't really feel like it could have been sequel until like 70% through. So let's just talk about the main character real quick. His name's Jacob. He's got no friends, but his family's rich. Oh man, can't we all just relate? Not quite. However, he's got a cool-ass grandpa. Grandpa used to tell him all these really cool stories when he was a kid, but eventually he realized his grandpa's just a fibbing mother fricker, and is just pulling his leg saying things about monsters and all these floating children. Totally just pulling his leg, as grandpas do. However, as the story progresses, we find out Grandpa gets murdered by some crazy monster thing, and it turns out Jacob's insane, has to go to a psychiatrist, all his friends leave him. So it's a bit of a, what's going on in this story? That's when you start to like, I thought it was going to have something to do with, Jewish culture. I was very much expecting that. And then I got something else, which was a monster to, just slaughtering his grandpa. So that got me reading. Turns out then his grandpa left him a secret message. Interesting. Okay, where's this going? Ralph Waldo Emerson? Don't we all love Emerson? Not this guy who says Emerson put him to sleep. Jerk. No culture. Supposedly famous. He's Emerson. What are you doing? Jacob's psychiatrist convinces him that he's crazy. He eventually breaks down and believes he didn't see a monster and that he was just having a stress disorder or something. Then he finds a letter from his grandpa telling him to go visit the island in Wales. Not a real one. I googled it. I was very sad. Cairnholm? Not real. And then he ends up going to said island to explore the mystery of his grandfather. There, he goes through a friggin' time warp into a time loop and meets all the children his grandfather used to grow up with in the 1940s. It's a lovely little story. However, there are way too many character names for me to try and memorize at this point in the book, and it's just like, oh, Olive. Oh, she's the girl that can float up to the sky. I can't remember that. At one point, they're like, oh, it's this girl, Bronwyn, and I'm like, okay, what is her power again? I can't necessarily remember. She punches dude and he flies back. Super strong. That's it. But I can't remember the names of anyone. Millard, I think, turns invisible. Ooh, that's pretty peculiar. And Emma, the main character whose name I remember because she's important, and Enoch, because that's a cool-ass name, and he's the dude that can bring people back to life. Those are the only two of these peculiar children I actually thought had good character development and that I enjoyed. Enoch was a cool dude. He was a douchebag, but he was totally cool. Emma, let's be honest, I found it really weird. He was flirting with his grandfather's ex, basically. I know there's a time thing, and he kind of looks like his grandfather did when he was a kid. What is going on, Emma? That is creepy, okay? You're an old woman. This is gross. That's just me. I was like, please don't have a love relationship. Please, please. Nope, it's there. It's there, and it is igniting. Puns. So Jacob keeps going back and forth in the time loop, and his dad's like, what you doing, Jacob? And he's like, nothing. Just chilling in an empty house. Dad's like, okay, good parenting ability, father. However, it turns out that these crazy white-like witch-type people that used to be Yimbrins, let's just make up ridiculously unpronounceable names. Okay, so these Yimbrins are people that can start time loops. There's one named the Bird, Miss Peregrine. She owns this time loop on Cairnholm Island. However, there are these evil whites that used to be Yimbrins that tried to become immortal and kind of failed, and now they're trying to kind of kill / capture and use all the Yimbrins. So Jacob has to try and protect them because he's the only one that can see the monsters. I liked that fact of the story because I was constantly wondering, how did no one else figure out that this was a loop? How did no one go into this hole? Because you can't go through the time loop unless you're peculiar, and Jacob had the same trait as his grandfather had, which is he can actually see the monsters. No one else can. So that's pretty interesting. I like how, even though it's not super duper of a superpower, it made him peculiar enough to belong to this group of friends, and I really liked that. So basically, he can see these monsters, they have this battle, and they kill one of them, and then one of them takes the bird, and then the last, like, 30% of the book, I was freaking out. Like, I was trying to, like, go on the underground, because that's basically when I read this. I do this as if I'm splitting my Kindle in half. So I'm always like, oh my god, I get into work, and I'm like, yeah, I'm listening, yeah, oh my god. The last 30% was just thing after thing after thing, and I'm like, I can't keep up with this. Everything bad keeps happening. The dude attacks Jacob and his friends. They take down the dude. They go back to the home thinking everything's safe. Nope. The psychiatrist, who is actually a white all along, captures the bird and her friend other bird. And he turns them into birds. I left that point out. Who needs that? He takes them to a lighthouse, and I'm like, well, crap, now there's something else happening. So they go to the lighthouse to try and, get the birds back. He's kind of shooting at them. They ended up going and stopping him and blah, blah, blah. However, he throws the birds off the lighthouse, and I'm like, well, crap. They kill him. They go get the birds, and then a U-boat appears and takes one of the birds. Like, oh my god. Just why? That was the sequel. That's where the sequel's coming in. Gotta save bird number 2. I'm really bad with names, like I said, because this book had way too many characters in it that I could not memorize the names of in this short of time. However, it did have a really good ending. It set itself up. Jacob ended up saying, "Dear Daddy, sorry, I'm a peculiar kid and I'm totally leaving you." He was like, "Fine, go away. You're crazy." And then his friend showed up like, "Ooh, look, we have superpowers." And then he's like, "I'm crazy. I'm probably just tired. I'm gonna go to sleep." And I was like, that is such a typical, like, TV show dad, like, oh man, superpowers, I must be losing my mind. However, they took a picture of Emma and the father's father, the grandfather, and was like, by the way, we're totally real. We weren't in your dreams. See you later. Hopefully Jacob's gonna protect us and kill lots of monsters. And that's where the book kind of leaves off, and you're like, okay, get bird number 2 back. I hope everything works out for you, Jacob. I'm very excited to pick up the sequel. What did you guys think of the book? Did you follow my train of thought? Because this is my first book vlog, so hopefully it wasn't too terrible. If you haven't read this book and you just watched this review, I hate you. What is your problem? Stop spoiling things. Who are your favorite characters? I didn't really like Emma. Thought she was a creepy jerk. Like I said, Enoch. All about Enoch. Anyway, I'm very excited. I'll be reading Peculiar number 2 up next. However, I have a lot of reviews on deck anyway. Thanks for watching. This has been EvanBooks. See you guys in the comments. Goodbye.